our very own Hope King. She is live at the PlayStation Theater in New York's Times Square with Keith Weed. He is the Chief Marketing Officer at Unilever. Good morning to you both. Hope, take it away.
Good morning, Corey. Good morning, everyone. Yes, we have the honor of speaking with Keith Weed before he goes on his very busy day and week here at Advertising Week. Keith, you're the CMO of Unilever, one of the biggest companies in the entire world. But today you just announced, we got to start off with the news, that you were buying Carver Korea for $2.7 billion. Put that deal in context with what Unilever wants to do.
Well, I think it's another perfect acquisition in filling in our portfolio. In the fast-growing skincare market, Korean beauty is a big trend, and this is a great brand, and we're really pleased to have them as part of the Unilever portfolio. It's an exciting acquisition.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that. Now, you were named Forbes Most Influential Chief Marketing Officer this year. Back in June, you've got a lot of great things coming up this week. Got, I think, 3 or 4 speeches. Give us a preview of what you're going to be talking about at Advertising Week.
Well, I think what we're all facing is the huge changes that are going on in marketing and advertising and building brands. And everyone always focuses on the technology. And, of course, technology is what's speeding it along. But what for a marketer is the real challenge is how people are changing. And we're changing hugely in our expectations and how we see brands and advertising. And as a marketer, we need to make sure that we understand what people are looking for in brands, but also just in their brand experiences. And the good old mobile, combined with sort of artificial intelligence, has created a whole different level of experiences. And you'll wait for a couple of seconds for a hot water to run in your hand basin, but 0.1 of a second, if it doesn't load, you're gone.
Right.
And that sort of immediacy, we want it now, is a big trend.
Now, earlier this year at Cannes Lions, you've also talked about what you want to help change in the industry, which is viewability metrics, making sure that brands are getting the most out of their advertising. Is there anything new that you're going to discuss today on that?
Well, I think it's looking at the whole of the digital supply chain, and we can no longer say the digital supply chain is sort of a new thing. This has been going on for many years, and it's now hundreds of billions. And in fact, it's estimated that next year digital will be bigger than TV, and that's a massive sort of milestone. But still, there are just too many issues. So I've been talking about the 3 V's of viewability, verification, and value for some years now, and we've made good progress there. But still further to go. But it's not just that. It's also about ad fraud. It's also about brand safety. And also the need to have one measurement system across the whole of the digital supply chain. And right now, because of the walled gardens of the Googles, the Facebooks, etc., you can't get that visibility and manage. At the end of the day, there's one consumer, one viewer, one user. And we need to have one budget and one measurement system to make that all work. And I'm going to keep on pushing till we get there.
Great. And also at Cannes Lions, you've also announced a global alliance to talk about how you can unstereotype ads. Now, when I watch some of the ads that you guys have made, even the Axe one, what it means to be a guy, is it okay for guys to ask? I mean, how do you make ads that make people cry? I mean, they brought me to tears, and I'm obviously I'm not.
Well, I think what we're trying to do with unstereotype advertising is actually recognizing that there's sort of shorthands that are used in advertising which are just lazy stereotypes. And we looked across the industry. This was last year when I first started doing this. And we realized that 40% of women did not identify themselves in ads. And clearly, if you're trying to engage with someone, that is not a good measure. But then we went further and found that only 3% of ads showed women in a clear leadership position, 2% of ads showed women obviously intelligent, 1% of ads women with a sense of humor. And that doesn't reflect any women I know. And so we then said, well, we'll start within Unilever on unstereotyping advertising. You're right, one of the first brands that we worked on was Axe, or Lynx as it's called in some markets. And we've made big moves already there, and we're going across our range. But this year we thought, well, actually, let's go further, and let's create an alliance across the industry. And I thought what was fantastic, I mean, it really was amazing, was no one's stepped away from it. Everyone stepped in. So we had all the big agencies, the WPPs, the Interpublic.
You saw Facebook and Google.
We had Facebook, Google,
UN
Twitter.
Women.
Yeah, so I brought UN Women in to co-chair it, and Pumsili, the executive director of UN Women, came, and etc. And they're going to take it forward because this needs to be a cross-industry, not a Unilever initiative. It's fine for us to get it going, but we had other brand advertisers there as well, and a cross-section of lots of different companies. And since then, many other companies come on board, and we're going to set out and measure progress through research, and hopefully we're going to see a big change around the world in advertising and how gender is reflected.
Right, and in those individual ads, I mean, you really do hit a nerve, right, to make people kind of get emotional when you see it. Is that the goal of these ads?
Well, I think the goal is in any communications to engage people. I was talking earlier about how people have changed. And on our mobiles, we flick through things at tremendous speed. And people filter out advertising all the time. And so I think increasingly a goal for people is to engage people. And that's why I think the role of brands with purpose, brands that matter, brands with meaning. We do a lot of this in Unilever, is try and make brands that are really part of people's lives. So whether it's Dove and the work done around self-esteem and real beauty, or as you were talking about on Axe, or Ben & Jerry's or whatever, we try and find a way to really engage people in our brands beyond just the function of the product we're selling.
All right, I only have 2 questions left for you. I've got very little time. Amazon and Snap, what role do they play in the current advertising marketing landscape right now?
Well, an increasing one. And of course, the big giants are Facebook and Google. I think Snap has a fantastic proposition. The fact that it opens in the camera, I mean, it really reflects.
You think it's a camera company?
Well, it's certainly starting at that point, and certainly people are sharing things visually more than anything else, and they are obviously a king in that. I think Amazon's quite interesting because obviously we spend a lot of advertising on Amazon as well.
Right.
Starts off in e-commerce, but now a media company as well. And the fact that people search on Amazon is another part of why we engage, and Amazon is one of our media companies.
Okay, because you have to sell through Amazon and you have to advertise on them as well. It's
we do both.
Right, right. So it's a quite tricky thing. You touch 2.5 billion consumers every day with your products. What are the concerns that consumers have right now?
Well, I think one of the big things around the world is the dropping of trust and concerns not just about governments and businesses, but even through to NGOs. And I think building trust is important around the world. And again, it brings back to our agenda of trying to have brands that are really authentic. We do an awful lot around sustainability, environmental and social sustainability across our business. And what we want to do is make sure that we very much have a real sort of positive approach to our brands and our supply chain and make a positive contribution to the world.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your time, for joining us here on Cheddar. Keith Weed, he's the CMO of Unilever, first here on Cheddar this morning. Back to you guys on the New York Stock Exchange.
All right. Thanks so much, Ho. Greatly appreciate it. That's Ho King and Keith Weed, the CMO of Unilever.